thankfully did before paying for my own game, which ended almost as quickly. I recall thinking how strange it was that he was so willing to give up his game. I guess it was because there were some games I still didn't know how to play at the time. Star Trek joke. I don't know what happened with the rest of their date, and I bet they forgot about me before I'd even put on my Star Wars pajamas that night. But I could tell that the guy was annoyed with me, and I felt bad about it. It wasn't until years later and I started dating that I understood why. I wasn't trying to cockblock this guy. I was just excited to see two grown-ups playing a game that I just discovered, and I wanted to be part of it. I haven't thought about that night in well over a decade, but it flashed through my mind in a matter of seconds, like it had just happened yesterday. And all it took to knock it loose was a few notes of 8-bit sound. Looks like we have about 20 minutes, and I think the story takes about 10 minutes to tell. Do you want to hear another story, or do you want to go to questions?
Story!
I heard in a porno shop at the North Pole. Okay, let's go. On a spaceship. Okay, good. Okay, so I'll tell one more story, and then we'll go to questions. Okay. You're welcome. This was written December 30th, 2008, and it's called Triple Word Score. My wife Ann is one of those Scrabble players who regularly scores between 350 and 400 points in a two-player game. I am one of those Scrabble players who was lucky enough to break 150 without opening the dictionary to find out if the collection of mysterious glyphs laid out before me can somehow be assembled into a legal word that is more complicated than one you find in a Dick and Jane book. I do not provide even a nominal challenge. And where the average player would experience something akin to fun while playing the game, I experience only frustration. Yet she insists that we play together. Making words is fun, she says, oblivious to my failure to use all my letters even once in the decade we've been playing. But since she puts up with me describing everything in the world in RPG terms, for example, some asshole cast freezing cloud out there. Like, I thought I had picked up some resist cold with all my trips to Seattle, but I just took 1d8 going 15 feet to the garage and back. And I keep failing my saves even though I'm back in the house. Give me a +5 Guinness. True story. The very least I can do is provide some companionship while she makes the Scrabble board and me her bitches. For several months, I've been able to avoid the humiliation of putting my scrabular impotence on full display. But when she asked me to play last night after dinner, her breathtaking beauty, illuminated only by the twinkle lights on our tree and the flickering glow of our fireplace, I failed to save versus charm and went directly to our game closet. I looked past games that would be fun for me to play. Battle Lore, Carcassonne, Guillotine, Awful Green Things from Outer Space, Uno, Sorry. Enslaved by her spell, my hands moved on their own and pulled Scrabble off the shelf and took it to the living room. Our dogs curled up on the floor next to us as we began to play.
For God's sake, guys. Sit down.
I drew an X. She drew an E. It was an unnecessary harbinger of things to come. She went first and instantly took a 20-point lead. I scored 7. Much better than usual. 4 or 5 turns later, she played sexy for a triple word score, and I never caught up. It was a blowout. I was Custer at Little Bighorn, Varro at Kane, Broncos in Super Bowl 24. Local Seattle sports team reference. Remember that game? I know, right? That guy who we were like, he's gonna be the sports baller, and then he was like, no, I'm overpaid, so my hamstrings. And then we were all like, but our rival team, they're here to play against us. I remember that one, Seattle. With about 20 tiles remaining in the bag, I saw a chance to draw within 40 points. On my tray, I had QIEEB, after I played an ineffectual 2 letters for a humiliating 3 points. Okay, if I drew a T, an N, or an R, I can place the Q on a triple word score, build off the U in fugue, and make quiet, queer, or queen. Reached my hand into the bag. I pulled out the T. I held my breath. For Murphy's Law of playing Scrabble with my wife is that, with roughly 85 potential places to play, she will play in the one place that fucks me. And put down 2 tiles, building off the F in fugue and blocking me. Oh, come on! Seriously! It's a bundle of sticks, she said. I know what it is! You couldn't have made wag or tag or nag or hag. I pointed to 4 of the approximately 85 potential places she could have played on the board. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to play in a different place? Because I'll get the same points. This is always how it is when we play games together. She isn't competitive, like at all. She is blissfully unaware of my anguish as I attempt to match her score. She doesn't know that if she doesn't double my score, I consider it a private moral victory. No, I said, I'll find another place to play. That will be 2 points. She recorded my score. I noted that she wasn't doubling it by 10 points and resolved to close the gap. I failed. With only a U and an I to play, I was down by over 100 points, and honestly, I just wanted the game to be over. Okay, I play the U here and I make fucks, she said. Rather, I said. Back up. We're gonna fix this in post. Okay, and 3, 2. Okay, I play the U here and I make fucks, I said. It's a good take. What's fucks? She asked. Oh, you don't know? It's what it's called when you suck so hard at Scrabble that you just make up a word so the damn game can be over. It's like my wife kicked my ass so hard I just went for the bucks. She looked at me and slowly shook her head. I took the tile off the board and replaced it with the I. Vix, she said. Yeah, Vix is what it's called when you try to vux and your wife cox blocks you. Well, I tried to vux, but my wife totally vixed me. She looked at me again and laughed. I joined her. I concede. You are the ultimate master of Scrabble. She leaned over the board and kissed me. Thank you for playing with me, she said. I love you. I love you too. Our gaming philosophy is simple. It's not about winning or losing. It's about enjoying the time you spend while you're playing. This is why Anne puts up with my fuxing. And I keep coming back for more, even when she vixes me. Looks like I have about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Well, 15 minutes according to my watch, 10 minutes according to my iPad. Now, my watch was set by me, my iPad was set by the atomic clock, so we're obviously going to go by the clock I set. Because the atomic clock is clearly wrong. If you can line up maybe like no more than 5 at a time, I guess, I would be delighted to take any questions you have on various matters. While you line up, I will tell you a couple of things, a few brief announcements. I have joined the cast of the animated show Generator Rex. I'm a recurring character. I'm a scientist, and that's all I'm allowed to say. But we were all really excited that I could talk about it because we were like, hey, this isn't a video game. We can actually talk about a thing that I did. And because it's animation, it'll be on in a year, and you all will have forgotten about it by then. It is my understanding that season 4.5 of Eureka, in which I play Dr. Parrish, which plays Dr. Martin, will begin around the beginning of June. And I know, finally, right? Believe me, I want you to imagine how frustrated you are as a member of the audience and multiply that times the largest number you can think of twice. Because that's how frustrated we are. Because we're like, oh, it's like animation. It's 10 months to a year before we get to see the work that we did. I can also tell you that I'm going back to Eureka in season 5. And you, sir, are in front of a microphone, so use it.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you again, Will.
Thank you.
Having read all of your books, I'm
Thank you.
I'm part of your revenue stream. Having read all of your books, I'm interested in if you're looking forward to seeing William effing Shatner.
I think that bill goes on after I leave. I have to leave early tomorrow. I have a family commitment tomorrow night. I was actually really looking forward to that. He's referring to a story that I wrote in my book, Dancing Barefoot, about the first time I met Mr. Shatner, and he wasn't especially nice to me. And we've since kind of gotten over it, but it's still a funny story. It's one of those things that 20-something years later I can finally laugh about, which apparently is the half-life.
You came in 45 minutes late. How are you going to find a seat?
I would encourage you, if you are here tomorrow, to get a seat early because he's really, really funny when he does his convention-y kind of things. Yes.
On Big Bang Theory, you play an evil version of yourself.
I do.
Woo!
It's very nice to you.
Do you have a backstory on how Evil Will became evil? And if you do, would you share it with us as Evil Will?
Yeah, sure. I don't have time for this. I haven't signed like a single proof today. This convention's a fucking drag. Evil Wheaton, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, thanks. Right. Well, Chris and I have been friends. Well, you know this since you listen to the podcast. For those of you who don't, Chris and I lived together when we were in college, and we've been friends for over 20 years, and that's just kind of the way we are with each other. When I am appearing at a convention where there's families and there's children and there's people who are sensitive who write emails when they get offended. Seriously. I do make an effort to just sort of be cognizant of that. It's like Eddie Murphy says, like, I managed to slip in some jokes between the swears. It's not like I just get up there and it's just straight string of profanities. Another enormous difference between doing Chris's podcast and appearing at a con, like we could just talk until we were out of air. And at a con, like, it needs to be a little bit tighter, and I only have a certain amount of time, and it's important to me, like, I know there's a lot to do here, and it's important to me that I